Well, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Thank you for joining me today. This is the full review of the Alien Knives KD1. Now, I got this a couple of weeks ago and said that I was going to carry it. In fact, I did an unboxing, which is something I almost never do, but it was so interesting to me, I wanted you guys to see it first. I have since had opportunity to carry it quite a bit, and it is exactly what I thought it was going to be. It is a phenomenal little EDC fixed blade. The ADCR V2 blade has held an edge remarkably well, and it came very sharp from Alien Knives. This thing has really done a phenomenal job for me. Now, I spend a lot of time packing and shipping boxes, but I'm also unpacking stuff that, excuse me, my dog has decided to play around over here. I'm also unpacking stuff that comes into the shop that I'm working in, and so this thing has cut a ton of cardboard, and a ton of tape, and a ton of packing straps, and you name it. And yet, here we are. Now, I know that given my penchant for big old knives, it's surprising that I have fallen so in love with this thing, but sometimes this is exactly what you need. Right? It doesn't get in the way. It doesn't hang low on your hip. It doesn't interfere with the things I'm doing in the day. But when I want a knife, I don't have to, you know, pop open a folder. Because it has this sort of interesting finish on the blade. Now, we've talked about this. I'm fairly confident he's going to go ahead and call this the Martian finish, which I think is really cool and makes perfect sense for the Alien Knives concept. But you know, he may change his mind. The nice thing about being a knife designer and builder is you can do whatever you want. I'm a fan of calling this the Martian finish, though. I just love the colors in this thing. Is that it doesn't show any wear. Now, this, again, is a hollow ground ADCR V2 blade. And I feel like, look, I'm no metallurgist. I'm really not. But I absolutely feel like he got his heat treat right, because this thing has held the factory edge through 2 weeks of cardboard, tape, packing straps, packages, all sorts of crazy stuff, without so much as a roll, a chip, no folds, no dulling. It is fantastic. Now, again, it's a 3-finger knife for me, but it turns out that it's very controllable because of this big belly on this blade. You can hold it this way when you're opening packages. You can hold it this way when you're doing push cuts. It has been exceptionally successful. Now, let's do the specs. I didn't do this when I did the opening, so let's do them now. If you line that up, you get 1, 2 1/4 inches of ADCR V2. But mind you, you actually get longer edge than that because of the curve. The overall blade is 1, 2, and well, if we go to here, it's 2.5, right? If we come, you can measure it in a number of ways, but I'm going to say it's 2.5 inches with 2 1/4 inches of cutting. The grip area is 1, 2 3/4 inches long, which is just perfect for my first 3 fingers, as you can see. The handle itself is nice and thick, so even though it's just these 3 fingers, and it's got this great texture, it really grips. I mean, it really does. You can hold on to this thing really well. Let's do some size comparisons just for fun. Here it is against the Benchmade Mini Presidio 2, and as you can see, it is considerably smaller than that. Here it is against the Benchmade Bug Out. Again, the KD1 is smaller. Here's a knife that I really carry a lot when I'm trying to put in hard work. At least I used to before I started carrying this all the time at work. Here it is against the Jumbo. Now, I love these knives. I have no interest in giving up carrying my big folding knives full-time for a fixed blade. I like folding knives. But I have really come to appreciate this really compact and exceptionally useful knife. Look, this is handmade by the folks at Alien Knives. He does everything, including the heat treat. It is 65 bucks, something like that, $69, $65. I mean, if you're just looking for a work tool that also has a ton of style, you cannot go wrong with this little thing. Let's weigh it out, just because I think that would be interesting. And we'll do it in two ways. So here it is, just the knife. It is 3.4 ounces. And with the sheath that comes with it from the factory, his shop, it is 4.7 ounces. Right? So, of course, the sheath is always going to lend a little bit. Now, this is I love this thing, right? It's scout-style carry, so it carries this way on the belt, not down, but this way. I have a buddy that makes kydex, and we're going to go ahead and make a couple of alternatives for this thing, including a longer, thinner one that might make this into a neck knife, which for me makes sense, but for most people it's probably a little big for that. But I just love the size. I have a couple of smaller fixed blades that I really enjoy. Not this small per se, but something I absolutely love, is the Work Tough Mount Laguna here. Also not a tremendously big knife, but it's thick through the handle, and that's something that these share. This one's a little thicker, but it absolutely gives you something to grab onto. What's the final analysis? Oh, you know what? Let's do the other specs. One last bit before we go. God, I'm sorry. It's late at night, guys. I'm sorry. The overall knife is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half. I always forget to do this. Women Carry Knives is making fun of me. I always forget the overall length, so I wanted to throw that in before we moved on. The blade stock is reasonably thin to begin with. It is 3.22 millimeters, which means with this much belly and this fantastic hollow grind, it is really razor thin down here. I'm telling you, this thing is a monstrous cutter in a little tiny package. So, now that we've stepped backwards and repeated ourselves, what is the final analysis? Well, here it is. The world of fixed blades is different than folders. They are more convenient in many ways because they are not folded. They have less moving parts. There's less to clean, less to take care of. If you find one that fits your hand well, is legal where you live to carry, and serves your purposes, then maybe a fixed blade is your ideal EDC. I don't know. I do know that I have really fallen for this thing, and even when I stop working at the little shop that I'm working in, this is going to become a full-time part of my EDC kit, likely just into my sort of go bag, or maybe into my full-time camping gear, I'm not sure. But this thing is going to be with me in one form or another for a very long time. Whatever that means to you, I don't know. But to me, it means that it is a very successful fixed blade from Alien Knives. Thank you so much for watching. It has been absolutely my pleasure to bring this to you. I'd like to thank Alien Knives for putting this in my hands. It was very kind. I have enjoyed using it and will continue to enjoy using it. I hope you've had a chance to check out the Alien Knives website. If not, I'll put a link down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.